We will begin recording, and with that, Brendan, who is our master accessibility designer using the Divi Supreme Pro custom attributes, is going to walk us through. We have created a document. I will actually quick share a screen because I have it up, and I'm going to put it into chat. Brendan has created a document on how to walk through some of these things. We haven't graded them yet, so this is one of the steps that is to come. Is a kind of a mention in here of what things that are quote unquote easy to do and what things are probably you're just going to want to refer to the WVLS or the Lean Wisconsin team. Note that in this document that we have here, it's broken down in a step-by-step way to go through this, and it's broken down by types of errors. And then we're going to walk through which tools you would use to address those errors if they're available to you. Most of this uses the custom attributes, the Divi Supreme Pro. This does require some degree of being able to read code. Some of it is fairly basic and straightforward. Some of it is more advanced. If you're not comfortable with code, please don't be afraid of this. Don't be, just absorb and observe and know that it exists. If you can read some code, great. You don't feel like you have to do these things, but this is just to help you raise your awareness of what tools are out there, what these errors actually mean, and what the tools available to us are. So again, I will put this into chat. And then I'm going to turn this over to Brendan to actually walk through some examples. If we don't get through everything today, that is totally fine. We will revisit this, and we will probably revisit it in smaller chunks down the road. But I don't want to hold up any more time. I will stop share, and I will turn this over to Brendan to move forward.
Thanks, Erica. Yeah, I was just thinking exactly that. We might not get through everything today, but I may as well start at the start, and we'll just see and we'll just see kind of how we go, because there's no point skipping forward and then you can't really get to that point. Anyway, we kind of have to go from where we have to start. So I actually just pulled up, let me share my screen here. So we have Jasmine here from Wabeno Public Library, and I put her website into the access scan. So if we go to our document here, which Erica put a link to, it basically says, and this is where I start. I start at the access scan, and it's typically the home page. I think that's the page. If you're going to spend time on this, you may as well start on the home page. It's the most important page. And so we can come here. And my computer's going to be really slow because I'm sharing. So, but we can come here, enter the URL of our website, and then it'll do and then press to scan, and it'll come up with a report, which is where we start. And just looking at Jasmine's really quickly, it has a lot of it looks like it's going to have a lot of the typical issues that most of our sites will have, not all of them.
Did we lose him? Oh. Okay, guess we'll just have to wait for him to rejoin. I'll pause the recording.
That my computer's been acting funny all day, so it makes sense that it would
What
crash
happened?
now. So let me try this access scan here.
And make sure to reshare your screen. Oh, yeah. I don't have to do that for you again. Yep.
Oh, sharing.
I did ask them while you were gone to go ahead and bring up the access scan and do their own websites so
Yep.
that they would have kind of an idea.
Great. I'm sharing my whole screen now, don't I? I'm sorry. There we go. All right. Is that showing up at all?
Now it is, yes.
Right. All right. Let's cross our fingers. Sorry, my things. All right. So I'm sorry. I'm getting. I don't want to do anything with it. Might have been. All right. So we have our Webino page here, and there's some errors on it. Let me go to the training. All right, we have some prerequisites. So a lot of the solutions are adding attributes onto our modules, which the screen readers like, basically. And we do that through a Divi Supreme Pro plugin. So if I go to Webino's website, we will see if they have this plugin installed. So we've gone to Access Scan. We know our page is not compliant. Okay, we're going to try and fix it. First thing we do, we have the Divi Supreme Pro on here already, which is great. Now you can get the Divi Supreme just off of the plugins yourself, but the Pro has to come from Lean, Wisconsin. So we have to put that on. So you would get in touch with us to get the Pro added, or we would just do the whole thing. And then what we're mainly looking for with the Divi Supreme Pro is we have this enabled Divi custom attributes. And that's really what we need for this exercise that we're doing. Now, I think let's get started here. Let's see what happens. Elements with button functionality should be tagged for assistive technology. So a lot of these are blurbs. It can have some odd ones. So what it's basically saying, if anything is a link, links off to something else, it wants you to say role equals button as an attribute. So this is the button on blurbs, for example, or if your blurb module links away, it wants you to do that as well. Images that are links. I don't know if I will get into this today. There's an explanation here of what to do. It's a very unusual Divi issue that shouldn't be too much of a problem, but it is, but we can see. Then we've got next, and this is these top 3 are probably some they're possibly some feature we have on our page that uses a next thing. We might not be able to fix that. Let's start with the blurbs here. So how do we find out what this is? So this is a homepage. Find your next book, author, or series. Enjoy recommendations. We can probably find that just from our page. We probably don't have to go into the code at all. So if we go for our page here, we might as well start on our page anyway. I would normally like to pull the access scan results into another window. I can't do that here very easily, so I could compare them side by side. I can't do that very easily while I'm sharing. I could share my whole window, my whole screen, couldn't I? We'll see. So we have some text. Find your next book, author, or series. Let's see if we can find that on the page here. And here we go. So we have 4 blurb modules that are giving us these 4 errors. And it says it wants us to put basically a role equals button. This is elements with button functionality. So this is on our notes. This is this one here under clickables. Again, I kind of go through how to find where the error might be. And then we go into advanced, custom attributes. And it looks like for this, I'll show you this. It's kind of a, so if we go to the advanced tab, we go to custom attributes. We say, yes, we're going to use custom attributes. We have the option of wrapper, button, or CSS selector. I cannot get CSS selector to work. I don't know how it works. I asked the company and they never got back to me. So we're really just the top 2 options here, wrapper and button. as to which one might work. And it it's kind of arbitrary. I normally start with wrapper and see if it works and then try button. It looks like in my example, I have button. Um, so I'm going to try that here. And then what we do is we make our role equals button attribute. And so this first part is just a label. This isn't doing anything. It's just so you can identify what attribute this is. And I normally put the name of it, or the name and the actual value, which is what I've done here for this. And then the attribute is role. The value is button. Um, and if we want to, we could do that to all of them now. Why don't I do that? Change this to button. Last one here. All right, I'm going to save this. I'm going to save the page. I'm actually going to go and view the page. Because the other thing we can do before we go back to access scan is we can actually check, we can see if what we did has turned up on the actual page code. So we can right click, this is in Windows browser, whatever that's called. We can right click and we can go on the element we want, on the module we want, and we can click inspect. And we can see if our role equals button has turned up anywhere. So here's our blurb container. And I don't see it anywhere. I don't see it anywhere. So I'm guessing this isn't going to work for us. Let's so you can refresh this page, the access scan page. Don't see a No, so the blurbs are still there. Let's try the wrapper. Let's change all these to wrapper here. It's already wrapper. I left it as wrapper. Ah, and there's only 3 here. So I accidentally left one as wrapper last time, and there's only 3 here. So this might actually work. Let's save the page. I'm going to refresh the home page here. Let's try Novelist Plus again. Here we go. So now in the outer div, we have role equals button. Which is what Access Scan said it would like for something that's acting like a button. So now if I refresh that, gone up a little bit here. But now our blurs are gone. So it now likes our blurbs. Our blurbs are doing enough to indicate to a screen reader that if you click on this, it's going to act like a button. There's some other attributes we can put in if it's linking off to a new tab, and things like that. And they'll come as we go down too. We might actually come back to these blurbs, and there might be more issues with them. Now these top 3, let's have a look at the page again. I think it's probably the slider. I'm trying to remember if sliders are fixable. Should we try it? See what happens if we put it in the wrapper. The other thing, so we might want to do the button, or we might want to do the wrapper. We cannot do both. And so there is a lot of limitations. We talked a week or 2 ago about this UserWay product, and its usefulness, and it's probably in cases like this where a third party acting on the HTML that's already been generated can do a better job, and where we're adding attributes in this way doesn't always work. But let's try. I don't think this is going to work, but let's try. I think we want to add it to the buttons, various button attributes. I think there's too much going on. for Supreme Pro to work out where to put this. Let me inspect it and see if we can see our role equals button anywhere. I can't see it. Let's say there's another way to actually check your code. So we could right click and do view page source. And this shows the HTML of the page. And then we can control F, and I could search for role equals button. Well, I know I've got one role equals button. What's going on? Hmm. Oh, man. Hmm. Uh, it's funny, it's got a space after the role, but so here it is here. Funnily enough, it has put it a role equals button in a link and in here as well. So it has actually added it to some of the buttons. Let's see what happens if we refresh our scan. And this is kind of the, I wish it was kind of more scientific than this, but this is basically the process I've been using to update most of the modules on your page. And the access scan actually tells you what attributes it wants. And then you and you just add those attributes without the equals and the quote marks. So it'd be the role will be the top and the button would be the value. So the role would be the name and the button would be the value. In this case, without the quotes or the equals, to make the attribute attach to the module. As you can see, it didn't help with my error here. So again, I don't think this is gonna help, but we could change it to wrapper.
And while you're looking at that, Ben just put into chat, he's wondering if the CSS selector would let you add it using the ETPub slide content. He put it in chat, so it might be easier to read that.
Yeah, so I've tried to use the CSS selector just like that, and it's never worked. I can't get it to work. And then I went on the help. I went on the I put a ticket in, and they never got back to me. So I don't know if it doesn't work or if I just haven't been able to put the right selector in. I've tried everything I can to put a selector in, and I can't work out how to do it. So it hasn't worked for me. But yes, that's what I was hoping too, that you could just, and I think that's what it's for. I was hoping you could just choose your selector and add your attribute, and then we'd be good. But it hasn't worked for me, and they didn't get back to me. So let's try this again. Did I save the page? Looks like it. And I suppose I did want to use this as an example of stuff that doesn't work, because I do think this is important too. It looks like it's helped. So putting it in the wrapper took the error away, right, out of Access Scan. Personally, I'd be dubious that it's really helping a screen reader. We could try and see where it actually ended up, perhaps. Try the page. And that's the other issue I have too, until we, let's come down here a bit. Yeah, so it's just put it on it's put roll equals button on the outside of our slider, which, I'm not sure how a screen reader would deal with that, but what it would tell the user. There's a roll equals button here too. There's more here. So maybe for that, it's definitely helped with the count. And I mean, maybe it does work. It seems to, it has put it in a few places. And Access Scan likes it a lot better. And so I would leave it at that for now until I knew more. All right, and we have one other here. Where are we? Here we go. So we have one other, which is an image failing, which you would think you could handle the same way. Image source. Oh, I don't know what this is actually. This is a weird English. So this is actually, this might actually be something to do with our WordPress header, actually. I think it's saying what language we're in, which is it's either, is it in our footer? It's this thing here. Can you see my mouse down there at the bottom of the page? So it's not liking, I think this might be is this a plugin you have, Jasmine? Is there a language plugin?
Yeah, she's using Translate. Yeah, the Google
G
Translate.
Translate. Yeah, so it doesn't like something that G Translate's doing. It's at the bottom of our page. I'm just going to leave that for now. So we had, I did have an example of a plugin which was giving me hundreds and hundreds of errors, and you obviously just have to not use that plugin for that example. So that's fairly good. So here we go. Now we have links that open in new tabs windows should be tagged for assistive technology. So here we have one of our, this is actually our heading. This is actually our menu, a menu item here. Excuse me. Links that open in new tabs. So it really wants us to put an area label which says link opens in a new tab. We can't do that to menu items. And this is an unusual, I don't know if it's a bug. It's only done it to one of the menu items. It's only said that one of them isn't.
I'll say, is it that one, or is it the catalog button down below, the search the catalog? The next one down.
And it might be, this is the only one. Does this, let's see, does this open? Might be the only one that actually opens in a new window from the menu. And actually, do I say this? Let me see if I added this. I fixed this actually by adding something in our functions.php. I might have already done it for the site I was working on, and so it didn't come up. Yeah, it doesn't look like it came up. I need to add, I will add that. So there's a piece of code in our functions.php. So I have to, I don't know, Eric, I'm getting in, I have to make a child theme for your website, and then we add some code into that child theme to fix the menus, basically. And I need to add that into the into this elements with button functionality section. And that should fix the menus as long as the menus, so as long as the menus are done within Divi rather than in WordPress. So Jasmine went and she went and fixed up her heading, and she made a global header. So if you're using WordPress as your header, I can't fix that at the moment. I'm not sure. It's a WordPress problem that I'm not sure how to fix. But if the menu is in our global header, then I can fix it with some code in the functions.php. I think there is a place somewhere in this document that goes into, for one of the problems, that goes into, it might be this. Yeah, it's actually this piece of code here. So it's adding a role equals button into your menu items. Is that going to certain note? And so we need that piece of code. So if you have a problem, I suppose I would say if you're having a problem with an error coming from your menu, this needs to happen. So you need to get in touch with us, and we create a Divi child um, um, on the back end, and we can then add this code into the functions.php file. Man, it's 150 already. So, and other things, so we've got our Novelist Plus here again. So we've got our blurbs, I think, coming out with these as well. And so what we would do for this type of error, so again, we would add a custom attribute. And it's an area label. Oops, not the quote. So we add the attribute name is area-label, and we could put anything in there we wanted, to be honest. Because you can actually use area label for to describe anything. So, but obviously we want it to be somewhat meaningful for what the issue is, and so I always put in link opens in a new tab. And I think this is basically what this is saying. Windows should have either an area label attribute or a screen reader only element explaining to screen readers that this opens in a new tab. This suffices for that. The area label link opens in a new tab. The unusual thing to me is that we have, so it's going to put, what is going to happen here is it's going to put a, right here, it is going to put an area label equals link opens in a new tab, which is right next to target equals underscore blank, which to me is the exact same thing. It's whenever you see that, the link is going to open in a new tab. I don't know why we have to do that, why screen readers can't work that out, but apparently they can't. And we have to put an area label in explicitly saying that we're opening in a new tab. So let me leave that for now and perhaps go on, see if I can see anything else. So you can tell that a lot of these are, the access scan tells us what to do, and we're trying to just find the module or the element concerned and update that custom attribute with something that it likes. So this might be a tricky one. Titles built as tags should be labeled as headings for assistive technology. So it's spotted that Wabeno Public Library is actually a heading. It's probably a large font. And it wants us to put a role equals heading around it. So we could try that. That's actually on our header. So again, let's see. I don't think I saved this. So again, we just go into the advanced custom attributes. Let's try wrapper. This one is going to be role heading, not role button. We have one here for mobiles too. You should do that as well. We could run our accessibility scan again. So it's actually, so it fixed it. It likes it now. Title should have a consistent hierarchy. Where is this from? I see this a bit where it has the H1 floating around, and I'm not sure where this is from, to be honest. If you look on your page, there's no such thing as this H1. I don't think. Let me see. Doesn't like it. There's not there's no H1s. It might be showing that error because there's not an H1 heading on the page at all. But it's giving it like that. And so that is something. I mean, sometimes it's hard, especially on this on the home page, where it might a lot of our pages would have a defined H1 because it's the purpose of the page, like an about page. So H1 could be about us, and then we could have H2, would be our staff, and H3 would be the board. Sorry, and another H2 would be the board. But for the home page, it doesn't necessarily work or make sense. And so it gets a little tricky here as to how you want to handle that. But obviously it is good. This can highlight where you are doing unusual headings, like jumping from an H2 to an H4 and not having an H3. It is apparently very confusing to screen readers. So we would just watch out for that and make those changes. Go back into our page and just reformat it to use the right headings in the right places. Oh, and so this one is interesting again. So this interactive element should be navigable using the keyboard. This is actually a piece of code that we need to put in. Orientation, the keyboard. Maybe not. Maybe I've jumped to the wrong issue. Hang on a minute. Oh, it wants the tab index equal to 0. So if we're using links in our text, so if we're writing text, for example, and we put an href and we turn it into a link, we need to be able, the screen readers need to be able to tab to that link so that the person using the screen reader can use that link. So if you don't have a tab index equals 0, it'll come up with this error. So if we go back to our page, can we tell? So our slider, for example, so we could try and add it just the same way in our blurbs too. And so what we do here is we add the tab index equals 0 attribute to where we just added the role equals button things as well. And once you get used to it, you can do all these in one go. You kind of learn all the stuff you need, and it's role equals button, tab index equals 0, aria label equals opens in a new tab if that is indeed what it is. So here's our slider. As I said, we can't do it for the buttons anyway, so it has to be the wrapper. We can add the tab index. I just don't normally put the 0 in here. We can add that for our blurbs as well. If our blurbs they are, so our blurbs are going, right, our blurbs are going to new, I forgot, the blurbs are going to new windows, so they've got the aria label attribute 2. I don't think I added, I've got to come back and do the aria label for these. So we should see less less of save. We should see less of these now. I don't think I fixed them all. Yeah, so we got 6 of them. Blurb description. It did not fix the blurbs necessarily. Let's see what happens here. What's my role equals button? Did it save? Hmm. Oh, I didn't refresh the page. Trap for young players. Refresh the page before you inspect it. I hope. Yeah, so there's our tab index equals 0 near we've got the role equals button, area label, link opens new tab index equals 0. So once you've chosen the wrapper, you can't choose a button for an individual one. It doesn't look like the tab index is working. Here it's not saying it's working, although it would come to that element. And it has actually worked for some of the blurbs. It has worked in part of the blurb. Role equals button, we've got it here. But there's a section of the blurb description that it's thinking it's an error. So I think I would just leave that. It is tab indexing to the blurb, so hopefully that works. We'd probably have to test it with a screen reader to know for sure. How are we doing for time here, Erica?
I think we can start wrapping up for today, and we will revisit this several times. I mean, this is one of those things where I think getting that first, like, overwhelmed. But there's a lot of terminology. There were a couple questions about even what are ARIA labels and things. But I think just starting to get used to this, and we will revisit it. And we can do some of this in the 201s. So anybody who can attend a 201, if you want to walk through this together, we can cover this as a team. Another thing that I do want to mention is, especially this month, and I'm going to get this message out to our website accessibility group. Several of you are on here right now. I think we will work. I never heard back from the company that we talked about meeting with. So I think we will work through this ourselves in a small group with the group that's been focusing on this. If anybody is interested in diving into this more deeply and wants to be part of our website accessibility learning group, please send them an email and we can include you in that, and we can dive a little deeper. I think this is a good start on a very complicated topic that is out of a lot of our wheelhouses. But I do think I'd like to have Brendan come back and do more intermittently throughout. We'll kind of take a stab at the clickables, take a stab at some of these links and whatnot, and understanding what we can do. But take this as an overview of some of the things that maybe you don't feel like you're comfortable doing, but you see what is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Ben
sorry.
had something in chat about getting the CSS selector to work, so we should bring that up at our next accessibility training
Let me stop.
and stuff. But are there any questions before we end today? I know I had a couple come in directly just asking about how do I get to this thing. Again, come to a 201 and we can work with this and have you drive, and we can find these places to click.
Oh, yeah, there's some weird ones like, okay, the and sign NBSP. Okay, where do I find that on my page?
Oh,
Right, as a failed orientation device. I'm like, okay, I see that nowhere in my code.
so it's, I think one of the big categories, and Brendan, you hit a few of those things, like, I don't see this in my code. What is it even indicating? And that's kind of a big category question. Like usually like an NBSP is like technology not interpreting an apostrophe correctly, but I don't know what that means in HTML.
Right, yeah, because I know that's in the HTML, but I'm like, okay, I can't find that in any of my code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, non-breaking space.
Yeah, so it's a new line. It's kind of a new line character. Yeah. I suppose I was just thanks, Ben. I will try those out. I don't know that I didn't go quite that far. I was just trying to put the actual tag in. I didn't go quite that far, so I will try those out and see. And we'll add them to the notes, and if it works, and I'll let you guys know. But I think what you can do is, if you have the time, which I know you guys have got so much of, is you could try adding those custom attributes. And then you can inspect, like I did, you can inspect it to see if it is showing up on the page, and then run it through your scanner and see if it's doing anything, because I mean, that's basically what I was doing. That's basically how I was experimenting with how to make things better. And a lot of them, once you get it, it actually is quite it is quite a finite number of issues related to that, related to those custom attributes, adding those custom attributes. So it might not be quite as daunting as I make it look. So
I think I might have actually, if it's not the error that you were dealing with just there, but it is an error that is something that people can fix. If you have blurb icons on your website or blurb images, let me move this here. So I'm looking at the Wabino site where we were getting that last error where it's like, well, it's kind of fixed, but it's not. A lot of your blurbs, so this is something that you can do without touching custom attributes. When they were designed, the link was duplicated. It was put in both the title and in the module. Accessibility does not like this. It does not like this at all. And sometimes you will get specific errors where it will say there are duplicate links or links that are next to each other going to the same place. So you can go through all of your blurbs on your website and just remove you can decide, do you want to have them click on the title, or do you want to have them to click on that entire, do you want the whole thing to be a clickable button, so to speak? And then remove one of those and save it. So either the module itself is a clickable item or the title is a clickable item. But remove one of those. And that may be what's causing that last error that you were looking at, Brendan, where the blurb was coming up twice.
I forgot about that. Thanks, Erica.
Yeah, no, that's,
Yeah,
but
it's
that's something that you don't even have to do a custom attribute to fix.
I've done that before too. I thought it was a you could do one or both, but that link element is really an either or.
Yep.
It should in a blurb. It should be
I don't,
either-
it should almost block it out so that once you've filled in one, the other gets grayed
Yeah.
out. But it doesn't.
Because and there's other issues that actually causes as well. So
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
So if you want them to be able to click on this entire thing here, have it the module be the link. If you only want them to be clicking on the Novelist Plus, then have the title be the link.
I think the module is the more
Probably
what-
logical,
intuitive one.
intuitive thing. So, okay. Well, thank you everybody who stuck it out. We will post this recording and we will definitely circle back to this as an ongoing topic. But thanks, Brendan, for putting this document together. It's far beyond what I'm capable of at this point. So I appreciate it.
Definitely a document in progress. So
Yep.
we'll see how it goes. I'll probably have a look at your stuff today, Ben. So we'll see how that goes.
I put in chat one of the messages I have, and the only thing that changed was the number.
Have you got a slider on your?
I do. Could
I
that be the
think it's
slider
with the
then?
slider.
Okay, then I can run around and mess with that.
I don't see it on mine either, but it had a next. I think it's the images from the slider, and you
Okay.
can change it.
Get rid of those vowels.
Or it's the navigation dots at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, is what that is referring to. It's referring to the slider.
Okay. And then that print friendly. Oh,
If you don't
that
really
we
need
have.
that navigation, those dots at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
just take them off, and that will probably remove. Just show, save the setting so it doesn't make them visible. If you don't need those dots showing up about which image is actually showing up.
Okay.
Remove them and remove that from the settings, you know, that,
Okay.
and see if that disappears. Sometimes it's just a case of making your modules simpler.
Okay. Well, we shall meet on this again. Thank you, everybody. And I think we'll, the next group that will be meeting, the next session we have is going to be the website accessibility group on the 18th. And then we'll do a website 201 on the 19th for anybody who wants to join us to talk about this or any other topic you bring. So, thank you. We'll see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Stop recording there.